don't work like they used to, back ain't working like it used to. Don't you wish you were young again for your health? Wouldn't you do things different? The old saying is, if I'd have known I'd live this long, I'd take better care of myself. Prosperity is so much more than just finances in your 401 and your investment. Prosperity is understanding wealth. Wealth is much bigger than just dollars in the bank. This, right here, you are part of something here. This is very wealthy. It's very rich. Because not everybody has this. Even people of faith don't have a community like this, a group, a family that will care about them and love them. A righteous life is more likely to lead to a life of peace. I'll tell you why. I was a kid. I wasn't a perfect kid by any means, but I tried to live my life like I thought God would want me to. And so I didn't do a lot of things that my friends did. I wasn't out past 11 o'clock one time through high school. I wasn't allowed. My dad's old line was, if it happens after midnight, it's sin. Okay, that's what my dad said. And so I had to, but when you're 17, that's true. Think about it. You can't be anywhere after midnight. But anyway, that was the way I was raised. And so I went through all through high school. Never did all that stuff other people did. So the benefit for me is I don't have to worry about stuff that happened then. Because it didn't happen. And so I don't have those worries. I have a very small chance of getting lung cancer. I have a very small chance of getting any type of cancer because I wasn't involved in certain things that most often lead to those things. I don't have people that are going to come out of the woodwork one day and go, oh, I had sex with him. No, you didn't. Because I've had sex with one person my whole life, and she's in the room. 26 years we've been together. Okay, so I don't have some of that stuff. I have my other baggage, though. I have my own. But what I'm telling you is that when you live a life that pleases God, it will please you too. And you don't have to worry about some of the stuff that your friends have to worry about and your neighbors got to worry about. The truth is, America's chasing the wrong stuff. We want stuff that we can put in a box and move. We want stuff that we can call our own. But the reality is, it's not ours anyway. If you believe everything that's in the world is made by God and it's His, then you've got to believe that He's just loaned it to us for a while. But what we have is a culture that's all chasing the wrong things. And there's these guys, you know, I'm thankful I'm not one of these guys working for AIG. Listen, people hate these people. We don't even know who they are. Imagine that guy comes walking in here on a Sunday. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. What do you do? Oh, I work for AIG. Like, what do we do? Because just that whole thing, that whole idea that you took advantage of us. But yet, that was their job. That's their job. But why do we care? Because America cares about the stuff. We care about our possessions. I'm telling you, we're chasing the wrong stuff because that stuff isn't going to make you happy. It is not going to make us happy. Even churches, I think, sometimes chase the wrong thing. Your Powerball number, boys and girls, would be what? 2 and 1 make 3. Proverbs 21:3 says this, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. To do what is right and just. What does just mean? Fair. To do what is fair. We used to have, there's an old saying in the golf world, when you're playing in the golf tournament, if something happens and you don't know the rule, just do what's fair. You know, golf's the only sport in the world where you're your own referee. You call your own penalties. You know, it takes a lot of righteousness to play it honestly. And I saw some really clever cheaters. I saw guys with holes in their pocket would drop ball out their pocket and down the pant leg. Like, oh, look, I found it. It's right here. That's funny. It was way over there. It's hard to do what's right. It is. It's hard to do what's right because the culture doesn't get it. But nobody loves a good sacrifice more than God. Think about it. Of all the people ever made a sacrifice, He made a big one. True? Okay, so it's not that God doesn't like our sacrifices. God, I promise I'm going to give up television until Easter because I'm lending it to you. Okay, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to give up Jell-O. I'm going to give up whatever. Okay? God's impressed with the fact we want to give something up. Boy, you know. But God's more concerned not with what we do. He's more concerned with what we become. Because we could do all the right things and still be wicked. Jesus even said to the Pharisees, your lips move, they say the right things, but your heart, that's a problem. Your heart's far from it. Okay? Or in the one famous movie, your lips are moving, but I don't hear words. Okay? I mean, God's the same way. God is exactly the same way. Okay, that's great, Tom. It's great that you're not doing this and you are doing that. However, you still have these heart issues that I'm more concerned about, because God is more interested in seeing us become righteous. He's more interested in seeing us become righteous. Doing what's right is hard, but it's even harder to do what's righteous, what is right and fair. Because to become righteous, we have to become the image of God. We have to give up the things of ourselves. So God, what He's trying to do is work on our character. He's not as interested in our behaviors, because if He can change our character, our behaviors will change. And this is the idea church-like. That when you come to church, you must look like us, think like us, act like us, believe like us, and then you're welcome here. Okay? How many of you get yourself well and then go to the doctor? That just sounds stupid, doesn't it? I'm going to sit home and I'm going to weather this disease, and then once I'm well, I'm going to go see the doctor. Well, if it works for the doctor, why doesn't it work for God? Because you don't come to God after you cleaned yourself up, because you've already done that. You come to God a mess. And then you get cleaned up, and I don't know how to tell you this, church people, but you stay a mess. Yes, you can become forgiven, and yes, you're in the process of becoming righteous, but we're always going to be a mess. Maybe you figured it out. If you figured it out, you should take my job. Here, I'll give you the mic. Because I'm not. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. And I struggle against Tom every day. I do. Just being honest with you. So I'm trying to become righteous. And what I've seen is certain attitudes and behaviors have changed. Because I'm trying to take on the mind of Christ. Trying to. Our behaviors can change. Everybody goes on a diet January 3rd. Everybody's off the diet by January 10th. Okay, so our behaviors can change, and they can change quickly. But character is based on relationship. My wife and I have a certain character in our relationship. It's a certain type of relationship. And for us to develop character with God, it takes an intimate relationship. We can't just be namesake only. Dear God, please bless, this, thank you for my food. No. Character, godly character, is based on knowing the character of God and allowing God to shape that character in us. And the more you get to know God, the less likely you'll be to like yourself, because you want to be more like Him, because He looks better than we do. He acts better than we do. And so our character will change the more we hang around Him. Have you ever noticed like somebody at work that has a particular mannerism, and they do something either while they talk or maybe while they sit and they work, and you ever notice you start doing it? You ever notice that? Like maybe it's the way that they do something, they got the twitch or whatever, and all of a sudden you're sitting at home, pass the beans, Why does that happen? Because you're hanging around somebody and you're picking up their mannerisms. You don't even need to do it. The next thing you know, you go, why am I doing this? I don't know. It happens to all of us. Some of those things are genetic and some of them are cultural, but some of them are just observation. The next thing you know, you're talking like them or you're saying words like them. That's why who you hang with is so important. Because you're going to become like them. You're going to become like them. The old saying is, you are the average of your 10 best friends. 10 closest friends. You are the average of your 10 closest friends. So if they're all 70s, you're a 70. But if you got some 90s and some 40s, then you're going to be 50, 55. Okay, so you got to figure it out. But that's why, what do we tell our kids? I don't want you to hang around with that guy. Why? Well, because he does things that I don't want you to do. And our kids don't understand it. They think we're being mean. But what are we trying to tell them? Who you hang with, you're going to start to do what they do. Because it's just human nature. So that's why, in terms of character, it matters who we hang with. So if I choose to think smart, then I can start to think like God. Because God's never wrong. True? God's always right. I don't think He's been wrong yet. Okay? So if I start to think like God, then I'll be smart. And if I think like God, then righteousness will start to develop in my life. Because He's righteous and holy, so chances are I will become righteous and holy. That means if I live a life of righteousness, then I'm more likely to experience success and prosperity in my life. I would say God's pretty successful. I don't think any of us would want to go to God and say, look, you ain't got it going on, man. Sorry, you ain't all that. Big kid on the block, little kid on the... No, that would be a really bad place to be. And so for you and I, what we're chasing is righteousness. To be prosperous. Righteousness leads to prosperity. That was one of the verses. So if I live righteously, I'm in a close relationship with God. And that's a